All right, looks like we're live. Dang, look at you guys rocking and rolling already. 619 OTA, the webhead. Man, I gotta catch up already on these on the comments. Jeez, good work, guys. Away from keyboard, catch it later. Why does ATT suck? Okay. Yeah, let's see. Webhead. If Helium really wanted to expand their network, they'd reward lone wolves with bad topography or geographic isolation. Yeah, totally. I mean, that's legit. But how do you do that, right? How do you make that so that is fair for everyone, so that it's difficult, if not impossible, to cheat? I mean, there's like a bunch of stuff where it's a should do, and then it's really up to us as the community to do it, right? We got to write the hips. We got to figure out how it actually works, and then go for it. Andy G, what's up? Bryce Gates. There's my bride, Lee, wheel spinner. Okay, you guys are crushing. Jesus, how am I going to keep up here? Let's see, Andy G, how can we stop relayed miners from submitting challenges? That's a good question. I mean, I think what happens is in the long term, look, we're looking at light hotspots coming online. It's supposed to be end of Q1. Now it's probably going to be early Q2, so April-ish. When that happens, all this goes away. Until that happens, it's probably really difficult to fix. Ah, yeah, you beat me to it. Nice, Andy. Let's see. All right, Bryce, question for the AMA. Can you please give us a quick rundown of the situation with off-grids and the latest info about leaving hotspots relayed, best cell router, and service right now? Bryce and et al., the hotspots I'm running off-grid are separated into packet forwarders and miners. So a lot of times the information that I'm using for my personal fleet is going to be different than what you're using. One of the guys who was feeding me information and who's very, very competent turned out to be gaming a bunch. So I just haven't talked to him recently about it. But he was the one, super competent. He was the one saying, hey, leave it relayed. It's still working. So it's one of those things where it seems right now, looking at the enclosures and off-grid thread in Discord, that different people are getting different results. So yeah, I don't know that I have great information for you. Best cell router, I'm using the Cradle Points right now, the IBR 200s, and then I've got some IBR 650Cs from when I started. I don't know if I'd use the 650Cs again, just because they require, or they don't have Wi-Fi, and sometimes that's nice if you bring your computer out in the field, you're not fiddling with a cable. But for the most part, the IBR 200s are totally fine, and they're half the price of the 650s, and the RUT 240s are half the price of the IBR 200. So it's kind of what your price point is, what you want to do, what you're aiming for. Wheel spinner 20, what was the difference between good witnesses count in the big panel and the MP antenna? MP antenna has been up since Sunday. Today is Tuesday. If we look at what it's doing, let me see if I can actually pull it up here and then we can go through it together. Stand by. Let's see. There we go. And then I'll switch out. I think I can work some magic here. All right. I think we're all looking at the same thing now. All right. So here's the hotspots. Here's amateur jade hair. I think you guys are seeing the same thing. Yep. So that's a 3 dBi antenna. It did 1.2 over the last 24 hours. It was a little bit higher, a little bit lower. I bet it's going to be around there. It's probably going to be one of the higher earning hotspots. And it's, I would say, 99% due to location. Doesn't have anything to do with the antennas. Doesn't have anything to do with crazy cables or routers or service or anything. It's just the location that thing's up on a 3,000-foot mountain. And can see a long way away. And the LoRa protocol is so robust that even a low gain antenna can go really long distances. If we looked at this over on HeliumVision, we would see that those connection points are, I don't know, 40 to 50, maybe 60K away. So is there a huge difference with distance? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see anything giant as far as like a huge distance change between the 13 dBi sector I had and the H antenna that's on there now. Jeez, what did I do here? Small disaster. Let's go back to HeliumVision. Go back to your comments. All right, Helium Network seems to be a big scam. All right, Milan, I think you just need to do some more reading about it. Webhead, H antenna should make a 6 dBi version. Yeah, I don't know. I think they might be working on some higher gain antennas. I haven't talked to them lately about it, but wouldn't surprise me if they came out with something like that. But at the end of the day, it's the line of sight that you have that matters, and it's not so much the gain. I totally get you want to punch through organic vegetation or wooded areas or even an attic, and so sometimes that higher gain can be useful. But yeah, That's it. Heard Finn, hope you have a great stream. Thanks, man. And Milan, you're in Croatia. You spent $1,000 on eBay and now you're suffering. I totally get it. Look, the Helium network right now is pretty chaotic, right? There are no guarantees. Even I've got a 𝗏𝗏 V2, which is pretty much the most robust miner out there. They've had the longest time to get those things rocking and rolling, and that thing will still go down and stay down for a day or two and then pop back up. It's on an Ethernet connection. Like, everything about it is as good as it gets, and that thing is still unstable, and that is not due to the setup that you did, Milan. It's just due to the network is super chaotic. They didn't expect it to grow this fast, and now it's a giant thing, and light hotspots are going to fix a lot of it, but for right now, it's just going to be batshit crazy. All right, folks from Seattle, Croatia again. Michigan, what's up? Snowy and 21. Like, it's freezing in here, so outside is 64. I don't know what it is in this room, but I'm pretty chilly. Hector with shaking. In Hungary, huh? Oh, right on, dude. Super cool. Helium Hub, we're doing good. Todd, what's shaking, dog? Ryan, glad you're learning a bunch. Ocean Blue, what cat cable type do I need for outdoor rugs? Rigs, probably. Different than indoor rigs. I think it's called direct burial is the type that you want to look at. And I've used Cat 5e and Cat 6, both direct burial or, indoor for the indoors. They work fine. Helium miners don't seem to pull that much that they need some super fancy cable. Sometimes I'll buy it just because I want super nice stuff, but it's probably a waste of money. But just direct burial should be fine. Caesar Casillas, could you give, or Casillas, however you say that, could you give a newbie some advice on a specific situation I'm having with my miner? Yeah, probably. What's the situation, dog? What's the latest update on when light firmware will be rolled out? I think David Hoffman, it'll be, what is it, probably early Q2. Earning flatline for more than 11 hours. What happened, Milan? So your hotspot probably just went online. It'll come back off. So the important things are, is it connected to Ethernet, and are your is port 44158 open? And if it's connected to Ethernet and the port's open, there's nothing else you can do other than have a reasonably fast internet connection, but pretty much everyone does at this point. So not much you can do. Just watch it. Go do something else useful. David Keene, is AT&T SIM card okay, or should I get the 𝗚𝗏𝗃 for off-grid? Get the AT&T. The 𝗚𝗏𝗃 is suitable for the packet forwarders because the data is so low. So if you can do a packet forwarder connected to a miner, which you can do on the DIY, and I don't know, some of the early hotspots you can split that off if you're an ultra geek. I'm not. I don't really know how to do that. I'm sure I could dig in and figure it out. But yeah, go with the AT&T or whatever's going to give you a ton of data. That was 2 miners on one antenna with a good splitter. No spoofing. It's an empty area. Negative Ghost Rider. That pattern is full. I talked about that in the other video. I think I linked that to you. So just watch that. Go through that video. I think we talked about that. And if we didn't do that, there's another YouTube live that I did, another YouTube interview I did, like something about gamers, and I had 𝗏𝗏 on there, and oh my god, I'm gonna forget his name, Anthony, and I think BFG Neil were on that. And those guys are all way into that stuff, and pretty clear message on that. 2 miners, 1 antenna is no good. What data plan are you on, and the price data allowance per month? Any throttles? I'm on the 𝗚𝗏𝗃 wireless, David. But like I said, the packet forwarders make the data requirements super low, so it's not going to be useful to you to do that same thing. Get something that is, what's current right now, kind of 50 to 100 gigs a month is what a full fat miner needs. So, but again, there's a lot of variance in that. Problem with my PoE, I think I'm running like way behind on these. Sorry guys. Caesar Casillas running Cat 8, but my miner never makes it online after I take it off the wall outlet and direct. What the heck? My guess is, Caesar, that you're probably gonna have to open up port 44158. Ryan Miller, what's the purpose of the SD card? It's just, to be honest, I don't know the technical piece. I would say it's just busy, like holding the program and writing the information it's getting back and forth on the Helium blockchain. People swap them out because some of the SD cards are not set up for, I think they're high endurance are the ones you want. They're not set up for like writing and rewriting over and over and over, which is what a Helium hotspot does. Versus maybe like a video camera, you might, if depends how often you use your camera, your GoPro, but you're not writing over that thing 10 times a day. Webhead. This is a super good question. I'm actually talking to, I think it's David 𝗵𝗏𝗀, the guy over at what is it, RF Shop in Australia. South African dude, got his degree in radio, so we're gonna have a chat later this week that I'll post up about this idea. When companies hawking antennas say tuned, like McGill, is that just marketing buzz for 902, 928, or something beyond that? I don't know. I think it's probably closer to marketing buzz, but I'll talk to the McGill folks. They've been super cool with me so far, so I'll just check in with them and see what they're saying about that. A lot of the times, I mean, this is referring to antennas in general, and especially at the beginning of helium, right? Helium is this intersection of normal people like you and me who don't know much about radios with a fairly complex world of RF, of radio frequency. And so at the beginning, you'd have like radio heads who kind of knew how to read an antenna diagram and an antenna data sheet and say like, okay, this is what I want. And then you had the rest of us who are like, oh my God, is, whatever, 840 to 920 is good enough. Like I'm on 915, that should be fine. Not realizing that the kind of narrower the frequency band, the more likely it's going to be efficient at what we're doing. So that's my guess. Helium Hub. I live in Florida and put up my antennas 28 feet in the air. Man, I feel so bad for Florida peeps. Like it's such a hard environment. It's super flat and you got lots and lots of trees. So you're doing 0.4 coins a day, Helium Hub. So yeah, that's okay. Would a lower or higher antenna gain be better for Florida? Typically, usually in Florida, you'll want a higher gain, and that's just to punch through the underbrush or the organic matter. But the problem with the higher gain in Florida is that there's so much organic stuff to get through. And so a higher gain may get you a little bit extra, but it won't get a bunch extra. I think the last time I remember reading a study on it is that LoRa will punch through, 40 to 60 meters of organic, and then it gets stopped. So an 8 dBi versus a 6 dBi versus 3 dBi, there'll be a difference. It just won't be huge. Like you're not gonna be able to punch through an entire forest. Okay. For your off-grid routers, the Hex Lab. What's the Hex Lab? Is that like Hex the crypto? No, we'll get into it. For your off-grid routers, do you have a suggested network operator, or are you not able to say? No, I would say like find a plan that works for you and use that. Greetings from Ventura. What's up, Ventura? Jonah Combs. If you have a hotspot on top of a mountain, does the antenna need to be a bit above the ground or can be pretty low to the ground? Jonah, as long as it has line of sight to where you're going, like you went to all the effort to get it up the mountain. So you want to make sure you go to that last piece of effort to make sure that it's not kind of, back of a cliff and not able to see off that cliff and into the great blue yonder. So just think of it as that if you have binoculars and you could look out and see all the different hotspots, as long as you have a clear line of sight to them and you can see them with, mega binos, you're going to be fine. And that's as high as you need to get it. The one that's on top of El Cajon, the amateur jade hair, I think the antenna is like, it's just above my head. So it must be 6 or 7 feet off the ground. I think I put 2 meters, 6 feet. So yeah, doesn't have to be super high. Explain light hotspots. All right, Brian. So the way light hotspots are is we have to understand first what a full fat, or what I call a full fat, which is a regular hotspot, is right now. And a regular hotspot right now consists of two things. It consists of, and we'll dumb this way down, or not dumb it down, we'll just simplify it. It consists of like the computer side, which is the miner, and the radio side, which is the packet forwarder. And those things are both on one device, on one hotspot. So the radio, the packet forwarder side, is listening for beacons, and it also broadcasts out or transmits or beacons when the miner or the computer side tells it to. The computer side downloads copies of the blockchain, downloads like, oh, this is my turn to make a challenge. It makes the challenge, it sends it out, it communicates with the internet, it does all that stuff. Both those things, the computer and the radio, are on one device, right? The miner and the packet forwarder. A light hotspot will split those out so that the computer will no longer, the miner will no longer be on that device. And all of that work of creating challenges, of submitting challenges to other hotspots, of going through all the blockchain and keeping a copy of that whole load will go on to the validators. And the validators are basically giant computers in the cloud that can do all that stuff way faster, way better, with way less congestion than a current hotspot. So what it does mean is about 5% of your earnings will go away, because those 5% will get reassigned to the validators for those guys doing their job. But we're going to keep the majority of our earnings. For most people, there's going to be no noticeable difference, right? Okay. Did you swallow out your racks with 64 gig cards to fix the minor downtime? You must have been switched out. I think I've used 128 high endurance cards. I don't think I have any of them in front of me, but yeah, 128 high endurance. Magic. What happens to the normal hotspots when light winds go online? So wheel spinner 20. Basically what should happen in a perfect world is a switch should flip, and all of the miners that are currently online, whether they're light or full fat, will stop doing the kind of computer stuff, the miner stuff, and they'll only do the packet forwarder stuff, and they'll all point to the validator groups. So that's big picture. All right, Dory, will these three There, right. Curved hazel wasp syndrome here in San Jose. Yeah, dude, let's take a look at that. I think you had asked. Let me jump over here, and we'll see what it looks like. I did this last night for someone in England. They were talking about upgrading their upgrading their antenna from a 3 to a 6 because they thought that they would be able to cover more with the 6 than a 3. And it turned out that topography was the problem. So I think Simteron, and go a Navy, huh? A Navy guy. Well, we won't hold that against you. That you had a question about this hotspot and you were going to go somewhere else and you were wondering about placement. So let's just go through, hit G for go, and see if we can go to this hotspot. Oh, is it going to act up on me today? It possibly will. There we go. Sorry, that took a hot second. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this hotspot and do a very quick kind of placement assessment. I'm using Helium.Vision. I think that you guys have heard this stuff before. Full disclosure, I'm an investor in these guys. I used them long before I invested, and they let me throw some money at them. So yeah, they're still, I think, the best placement assessment tool in the market right now. Hotspotty is a fast follower. So I think those two are going to kind of converge on. Hotspotty has been coming from the hotspot fleet management side. Helium.Vision has been coming from the placement assessment side. They're probably going to meet somewhere in the middle. Whatever. That's not something that you guys are probably concerned with. So the first thing we're looking at when we look at this hotspot is what is around it and how kind of overall dense is it. And what I'm seeing here is that there's a lot of other hotspots around it. Like this probably isn't going to do super well. We'll come over here and we'll turn off some of these layers to declutter a little bit. But if we look at the Res 8s here, there's lots of hotspots in these Res 8s. So you're probably going to get scaled first off, and we can look at scaling really quickly here. And see that all around you is scaled. I don't know if you could see this on the tubes, but all these numbers are pretty low. 0.27, 0.39, 0.26, 0.5 is kind of the highest local amount, 0.52, 0.54. So that means all of the witnesses and beacons in this area, because all of them are affected kind of both ways, are going to have really low earnings. So in general, this is the scale. This is not the HNT earned. In general, what we're looking at is this kind of a low area to be deploying into. So it depends on where your other area is. If it's outside of the major Res 4 hex that I think is scaling most of that stuff. Yeah. So here's the Res 4 hex here that is kind of creating your problem. If you can get over to here or maybe over here, then it'll be a little bit better. But yeah, it depends on where you're moving. So overall, that's the first thing to look at is what's the local scale look like. And then the second thing to look at is we'll turn off scale and we'll turn on the local rewards and get an idea for what local rewards are. And now we're seeing they're not very good, right? I'm trying to keep this semi PC, so won't use my normal sailor mouth. But yeah, 0.04, 0.07, 0.03. Now we are looking at the 24-hour earnings of HNT in the area. The highest local earner, 0.12. That's pretty terrible. So yeah, move your spot. Let's see. What else? See if I can catch up on this stuff. Leon back in Sweden. All right, David Keen, we talked about that. Dive outside. Do you know of any other cool projects out there? Yeah, I think HiveMapper is pretty cool. It's not ready for everywhere yet. If you're in specific cities, it's a way for you to put a dash cam in your car and you drive around and map areas. I did a whole video on it on the tube, so look up HiveMapper. I think that's a pretty cool project. Planet Watch seems like a really cool project, but kind of I don't think they really care about the crypto side. Their app, as far as I've used it, is like it's buggy and a pain in the ass. And if you don't do things in exactly the right manner, then it doesn't work. Where coming from Helium, as difficult as you guys may find Helium right now, it is way easier. And the Helium team has said from the beginning, like, we designed this for your grandmother to be able to plug into her wall and use. Like, that's how simple it is. So I know for some of you it's not working right away, but it is pretty simple. There's not a lot to fiddle with. On the Planet Watch side, I've got this Atmo tube thing here. This is one of their sensors. These are, yeah, pretty cool. It measures air quality and then rewards you in cryptocurrency for that. But man, if you don't turn on the apps in the right sequence and get all your blah, 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 I's dotted and T's crossed, total pain in the ass. Okay, well, these hotspots, let's see. Dory, will these hotspots still earn when 5G comes out? Yeah, hotspots are still going to earn when 5G comes out. They're two separate systems, LoRaWAN and 5G. 5G will take away earnings from the hotspots that the hotspots are earning more or less for free right now. So if we think of if we think of HNT rewards bucketed into three big, more or less equal buckets, A third of all rewards go to hotspots doing the POC stuff, proof of coverage, which is people like you and me doing regular hotspots. A third of all rewards go to Helium investors, so you can ignore that. You're never going to see that. And a third of all rewards are set up for network data transfer. If there's no data being banged around the network, and there isn't, relatively much right now, then that third gets stacked on top of our first third, in essence giving us twice as many rewards as we should get. So right now you're earning double. Once the 5G miners come online and start chewing through all that data, that third will start to get used up. We won't get that double point system, and so we won't earn as much as we are right now. Tony types, you got this. Thanks, buddy. What about the wall outlet? I'm going to skip ahead. Oh, we're not. I am pretty far behind. Sorry, guys. I'm going to skip ahead a bunch. Let's see. Away from Helium, we just talked about Planet Watch, Ocean Blue. Have you ever deployed a compromised miner? Luke Funo. What is a compromised miner? I'm not sure what that is. Do you believe off-grid setups will have a future, Dylan, with 5G, or will 5G be indoor only? It'll just be a different thing. So off-grid setups, I think, will continue to be pretty good. What we'll see in probably like the 2 to 3 year long term is that the off-grid setups won't be as good, because the majority of earnings will shift over to data transfer, and because sensors, which is what the Helium network is built to service, generally have really small antennas and can't push out that far. The big kind of badass off-grid setups that we're seeing now are just not going to be able to pick up that sensor traffic and process that data. So they probably won't earn as well as they're doing now off of POC, because every hotspot is generally connected to, relative to a sensor, giant power and a giant antenna. So yeah, for the LoRa stuff long term, we're going to see the giant off-grid stuff probably go down, but that's not going to happen for a year or two. Will 5G be indoor only? Nope, 5G is going to be indoor and outdoor. It's just going to be, you've got to find a spot that the telcos don't want to mess with. It's too small for them, but it's big enough for you. Is evaluated location 40 to 60 meters with, I'm sorry, I'm reading Oliver Nedvigs right now. With a nice look around, but with 20 hotspots in the hex, or in a hex with 0 hotspots, but only 10 to 15-ish meters. I'm not sure I understand. I think what you're asking, Oliver, is it better to be in an overcrowded area or an undercrowded area? And in very general terms, it's better to be in the medium crowded area. The undercrowded areas are getting built out so fast that I put up a high hotspot there and kind of wait for that to fill in. And I bet by the time you get the hotspot up, within a week or two, you're going to see hotspots popping up around you. And there's 2 ways that happens. One is just the natural filling in of the network as hotspots kind of come online, and they go where people already have a location. And 2, people use these maps. They use Helium-Vision, they use Helium Explorer, and they look and see what's in their neighborhood. And if they see that you put one up in their neighborhood, that's really good, because typically that means they won't put one up near you. And also they're encouraged to put one up because they know that they can earn off of you and you can earn off of them. All right, we talked about Planet Watch, aesthetic lifestyle. How much of your earning percent do you lose by being on relay? Super good question. I don't think anyone has a very clear answer for that. I've seen where relayed hotspots earn just as well as unrelayed hotspots. In fact, we just looked at that one. That's mine. I think Jade Hair is relayed right now, or the last I saw it was relayed, which I don't understand because it's on its own public static IP. It's connected directly to the router. So yeah, I don't know how big of a problem it is. I wish it was more of a problem so there'd be more incentive to solve it, but it's not. Jonah and Oxnard. Oh, you're talking to Ryan and Jonah are talking Ventura Talk. Okay. Todd Nuggs, so during the last update in my area, there were right around 100 miners just disappeared. Our area seemed like the miners around me went down for a bit. Now I'm only getting right around 21 witnesses. So that might have been, Todd, that those 100 other miners were gamers and they got knocked out by the gaming deny list, which was a little bit of a fiasco to happen last week. I think we've talked about this before. We may not have talked about it on video. Maybe I did it in the last kind of live when I was in the garage, but Helium had this secret deny list that it was using to stop gamers from gaming. It was a unilateral decision by Helium to put that up. They didn't consult the community about it because I think they felt the community couldn't fast enough, if I remember the announcement right. Couldn't move fast enough to stop all the gaming that was happening. That deny list also caught up a bunch of other kind of good miners and not just bad actors. And a lot of frustration came out of the good actors trying really hard to figure out why their hotspots weren't earning when it was caught up on the deny list that they didn't know anything about. And due to the nature of a deny list, you can't tell people that they're on it if it's going to work. You can't tell gamers like, oh yeah, I'm blocking you from earning if you want the the gamers to not be able to figure it out. So a little bit of a shit show. Eventually, some talented kind of code sleuths figured out that there was a deny list. They published it, and now we've got to, as a community, come up with ways to combat gamers who are gaming the system. So kind of long answer to your question. I bet those 100 miners, some of them were gamers, and they just got shut down and pulled out. Which is better, Panel versus Yagi? Man, Michael D. I would say neither. I'd say put up an Omni. Omnis are almost always as good as the rest of them, unless you are specifically punching through something really difficult to get through, like a forest or woods. Then you want to put up an Omni anyway and just get it as high as you can. I don't know about Panel versus Yagi. Yeah, I wouldn't do either one. Old Merlot Blackbird. I guess we can take a look at that, see what's going on. Old Merlot Blackbird. And I've got two other hotspots to look at that I think people had sent me like Twitter stuff on, or a request. And yeah, we'll see if we can do that. All right, let's see if I can read through the rest of them while this thing comes up. There it is. Take me there. Sweet. Let's see. So where are we? We are Great Lakes. All right. Up in Wisconsin, Green Bay. Cool. And Old Merlot Blackbird, geez, did I already click away from it? It looked like it was out on the edge. Yeah, so here you are right here, 0.19. That's not bad for average rewards over the past 24 hours. I'm not sure what your question was, but I would just let that thing sit there. If we look at the general area here, so this is, I'm looking at kind of the other hotspots around you. Looks like you're one of the higher earning hotspots in the area. There is a 0.61 right here, but a lot of 0.8s, 0.15s, 0.29. So yeah, let it sit there, get higher, dog. It's going to be fine. Let's see. Ryan Miller, great explanation of light hotspots. Yep, no problem, dude. Not a huge impact on mining. No, not really. If we think about where you earn your earnings right now, 75% come from witnessing, 20% comes from beaconing, 5% comes from challenges. We're going to lose a 5% of challenges, so most people won't notice it. If I do switch to, so Brandy Gardner, last question. If I do switch to PoE, does that do something to the IP address because port 44158 doesn't open for me if it isn't directly connected to the router? PoE shouldn't have anything to do with you being directly connected to the router, not like because it's power over Ethernet, so you're connected via the Ethernet cable, so you're connected to the router. So no, it shouldn't be a problem. Warren Bowman, can you talk about the HN10 advantage? What kind of location would benefit from the reflecting radio signals? Yeah, here's the thing: is the antennas don't matter that much, right? I think the HN antenna is as well made as any antenna out there. It's probably in the top, 5% of kind of quality. I've been to their factory. I've seen how they put them together. Yeah, those guys are squared away. Is it going to be a huge magical difference between it and any other antenna? No. Is there going to be a giant difference between it and any other kind of good name brand antenna? Probably not. You could probably get pretty much the same thing with a McGill or anything else. Like, what you just want to get above is the bar of a shitty antenna. Once you get into the good antennas, probably not a huge difference. For me, I just like nice things. So I'm going to buy the nicest, what I think is the nicest thing on the market. But the advantage from a multi-polarized antenna, which is what it is that it picks up signals that are coming in off angle versus just vertically polarized antennas, which will pick up signals that are going up and down. So if we think, in fact, let me go to kind of full camera so you guys can see this a little bit better. So if we think of a normal vertical antenna, it's sending out waves that are going kind of straight up and down away on that axis. And every time a radio signal hits something and bounces off, the angle of that radio signal, this is, yeah, again, super simplified, can change a little bit. And so instead of coming in at a perfect angle to that antenna, to that vertical antenna, it can come in a little bit off angle. And if it is too much off angle, it's really difficult for a vertically polarized antenna to hear, let's say, a horizontally polarized antenna. And so a multi-polarized antenna can pull in and can hear a lot of those signals that are coming in on pretty much any angle. So the H antennas from MP Antenna will typically have the most advantage in cities where there's just a lot of hard reflective surfaces in the form of buildings that are bouncing antennas or bouncing signals all over the place. Sorry, I talk too fast and confuse my words sometimes. Should I take in consideration the loss of the lightning arrestor and adapters when calculating my DBI? Raphael Velez? Yep. Yeah, you should. Not a huge deal if you don't. So if it is all mystery to you, don't worry about it a bunch. It's not going to be any more than, shouldn't be any more than 0.5 DBI. So we'll make a big deal. But yeah, it won't hurt to do it. It's definitely more accurate, and we'll see what's going on. Before I do the next thing, is what I want to do is jump over and ask you guys a question. I'll go straight down to the bottom of the comments to kind of catch up. Sorry, I'm getting behind here. Let's go to the Gristle King website is they're working on a change. And so what I'm asking you guys is, which of these do you like better, right? These are the two designs that the GK website's going to. So I think this is version 1. So you see like bright colors and big blocky things, and should be pretty easy to navigate. And then this is version 2. There's more information on here. We can change the colors, but we're kind of looking and we're at a little impasse in deciding like which one of those we want. So if you want to drop in version 1 or version 2 into the comments, that would be super, super helpful for me and the design crew. Okay. Yeah, you guys are still on antennas and asking for checking fierce macaroon snail. So I'll tell you what I'll do is, I don't think I've seen this happen yet, but this is probably, I don't know, the most fair way to do it is, I think there's a way to throw some money at this thing. So if you put in whatever your $5, I'm just going to skip you to the top of the line because there's a million people on here, and this whole thing will be solved eventually by going to a paid membership thing, so that we don't have so many people that I can't answer all of your questions. Because that's really the big thing, is there's so many people that are on here. I can't get to everybody, and I really like to. Okay, you guys are on the V2 site. Thank you guys. That's super useful. Wow. A landslide for V2. Crushing. Okay, cool. Well, we'll go back to design because I like the V1 better, but it looked way cooler. You guys liking the V2. All right, cool. So I'll take that or drop that away, and then we'll go back to checking hotspots. And I think I've got a note somewhere with what I was going to, the other hotspots I wanted to do. Yeah, it was an AMA note. Sorry, I'm looking at this. So hotspots to check were polite white piranha, and we already did curved hazel wasp, and then I will get to the other ones. So let's go over here and drop this sucker in and go here, and then we'll look at this guy. Thanks a ton for all of the feedback on the website designs. That was super helpful. I thought it was gonna be like 50-50, but obviously you guys are way into V2. All right. Okay. I'm waiting for this guy to come up. So let's see why that happens. 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗁, my antenna is in the attic. It was earning similar to when it was on the balcony. It was snowing for a couple days and the roof covered with snow. Rewards drop. The snow is probably the reason. Yeah, that's probably the reason, is that it's really difficult for RF signals to get through water in any form, whether it's ice or snow or rain. So yeah, that was probably the issue. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can get my my bride to ping me if any of these things come up, because I don't want to miss it if you guys are dropping dollars my way to get jacked up in the chain. Okay, so let's see. Polite white piranha. Are you even on here? Let's see if we can get this thing to go. Let's see. Cuddly midlight. Well, you guys got a ton of these things. So for these hotspots, to look at them, I think what I'll start doing is just doing little YouTubes, like one per hotspot. And I'm not sure how I'm going to run it, if I'll charge for that or if I'll just do that in kind of free time, or do 1 or 2 a day and see what's shaking. But I think it's way better for you to learn how to use a tool like this, like Helium.Vision. Helium.Vision is $5 a month, so it's not super expensive. If you want to learn how to use it to the max potential, I've got a course on it. The course is, right now it's $99. It's about to go up to, well, more than $99. And there's a whole course on how to use this thing, how to set it up exactly like I have it, and how to make this thing crush. All right, so for polite white piranha, I forget what the question was, but man, you are out in the sticks. That is going to be really difficult to earn. If we look around and see kind of the local topography here, is that you're down in a valley in Mount Pleasant, and so that's just going to be super hard for you to get a radio signal out to any of the hotspots around you. If we look and see what it looks like in terms of distance here, we'll turn on the measuring tool and go from your hotspot to other hotspots. So 16 kilometers-ish to the nearest hotspot. And then, yeah, 23 kilometers up here. Those aren't impossible to get to. Laura can do kind of 30 to 40K over land, no problem with clear line of sight, but they're also not super close. So what you need to do is get more hotspots in there. That's the deal. Let's see. If you were staying today, Ryan Miller, where would you focus? I think this will probably be useful to kind of look at this as an exercise. Is where would I look to go? In fact, I'll show you a really cool thing that a client or someone I just talked to just pointed out to me. So I'll just stay in Southern California for general purposes. You can use this same kind of assessment method for anything. So we cruise in here and we see, wow, there's a lot of hotspots here, so that can be good. I'd be looking out at the edges. What is out at the edges that I can get access to? How do I get access to that? How do I talk to those people and get access to that land? Most of these edge hotspots out here are going to be higher earners just because they're up high. Typically, I mean, I know that the San Diego topography may not be familiar to you, but where you see this dark spot right here, this is basically a spine of mountains coming up and down, and then this is obviously the coast, and this is a little bit flatter. It's still a pretty difficult RF environment in general. But yeah, I'd be looking at the edges here. And so the other thing I'd be looking at once I had narrowed down to a region is what is the local scale like. And so we turn on this average reward scale and we see up here, I'm not sure how well or how easy it is for you guys to see this stuff. Let's see if I can turn some of this crap off and make it a little less busy. 0.31, 0.7, or 0.37, 0.44. Like this is just a generally low scale. So all witnesses and beacons in this area, like to and from these hotspots in general, will be cut down by whatever this amount is. Whereas if we go down here, now we're looking at a scale all above, mostly above 0.8. Looks like there's a couple 0.48, so that's probably an overcrowded area. But in general, these are 0.99, 0.79, like up above that 0.8 happy zone, and that's really what we want. So I'd be looking for a hotspot. If I was having to deploy a new one right now, I'd be looking down in this case in TJ across the border down in Mexico. We both run 915, so you can go cross border here, no problem with the radio signals. And I'd probably be looking back here. We're seeing 0.99, 0.98, like up here, these are pretty good. So we turn this off and turn reward scale on and see where are the bangers. All right, there's a 1.12 up here, 0.61. Like, yeah, I'd just be looking for where the high earning hotspots are, trying to understand why they're high earning, but typically they're high earning because they are up super high. And yeah, they're seeing a lot of other unscaled hotspots jumping around here. Let's see, Milan, you're on a deny list. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Chemical etiquette. I have long alabaster salmon in a tree with the Yagi pointed toward Newport. Will it earn more if I make it higher up the tree? It will probably earn more if you put it higher up the tree and you have a omnidirectional antenna chemical. We can look at long alabaster salmon. And in fact, what we can do is also we just go to, go straight to Helium Explorer and see if that's any faster, because there probably won't be a ton of extra information. Long alabaster salmon. Is it alabaster? Salmon. Cool. Oh, and orange. Oh, you're Newport Beach. Oh, cool. So the problem with Newport Beach is that you're going to get super overcrowded, and it's weird. You've got it's a Yagi, so it should be just pointing in one direction, but you're getting hotspots in every direction. Your big problem is this transmit scale. It's not your antenna. So partly is you're going to have to get out of this area just because this whole Res 4 area is really heavily scaled, and get an Omni, and yeah, get it up higher. That'll be better. Woody Citron Hair is in Reno. Sun says it's plugged in, so I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know what's wrong with it either. As long as it's plugged in on Ethernet, that's about as good as you can do. Jonah Combs, H antennas are out of stock. Do you know if they restock those pretty quickly? Yep. Yeah, they're making, I don't know. They put them up in batches of 25. So if they're out of stock, just wait an hour or two, and they usually put them back up. I'm getting semi-close to the bottom. Lee, hit me with a text if I'm missing anything big. I think if I turn new stuff on here, then it shows up for everyone, and there's no reason for everyone to see my whole phone text string. Okay, Omni max range 8 dBi antenna, assuming 3 dB cable loss. I'm curious how much cable run efficiency reduces reach and range. Matthew Merriman. Look, range doesn't seem to be a function of gain. Now, the true radio heads will start screaming when they hear that because they know that a higher gain focuses the signal and pushes it out further. But in LoRa, I've seen 3 dBis go 200 kilometers. So when you're thinking about getting a higher gain antenna to get better range, that's probably the wrong way to think about it. The higher gain antenna should be used to punch through known obstacles like an attic or vegetation, but that's probably it. Please check my hotspot in Dubai, fierce macaroon snail. I think I've said that one a couple times. Let's see if we can get that sucker to load up. Fierce macaroon snail. All right, we'll take a look at it and see what's shaking. 𝗚𝗏𝗶𝘀𝘁, you were the next one up. That's okay. I wonder, did I miss you? Or what's Lee saying? Grab Tommy White questions I put at the bottom. All right, hang on, Tommy. We're coming to you. Dang, I missed a lot. All right. 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Let's do that one. So fierce macaroon snail, you're going to have to wait. 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Okay, looking to see if I need to get higher or get better than a 5 dBi 𝗨. Can witness 3 and being witnesses by 5. Okay, you can witness 3 and being witnessed by 5 total. So let's go to 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, G for go once it's in there. In, is this Virginia-ish? And then we'll turn on the hotspots around you and see what is shaking. Okay, so we're looking at average rewards. 0.13 looks like you're a little bit higher. Well, it's 0.25 down here, 0.14. So you're maybe in the middle and maybe low. What kind of witnesses does it look like you've got? You've got 3 right now. That's odd. And then what is your elevation at 9 meters? I would get it higher if I could, Tommy. I'm looking to see if I need to get higher or get better than a 5 dBi. The other thing that only you know is what is in the way between your hotspot and these hotspots. And if it's vegetation, if you can't get over the vegetation, trying a higher gain antenna, you've got a 5 on there right now, might be the answer. It might help. It might not be a huge help, but getting it higher will probably help. The other thing to look at is, let's see what local topography is like. Looks like it's pretty flat, but this can be a really tough environment because the hills can kind of sneak up on you and it's hard to see. Let's run a quick sim on this sucker and see what it looks like. I think the last one I did was in merry old England. What did you say? You were 9 meters above ground with the 5 dBi. This dBi stuff doesn't matter that much. We'll put it on suburban timber. And really what I'm looking for with these sims is I'm looking to see what the local topography looks like. I don't really pay a ton of attention to the colors that these sims come up with. This is just a model. It is not 100% accurate. So yeah, we'll see what this guy comes up with. All right, super chat from Ryan Miller. So Ryan Miller, I guess we're gonna put you up next if I get my shit together here. Okay, so cruising in on this, we're seeing there's a little river kind of system or a bowl right here. All of this green is where the signal is strong. All the blue is where the signal is weak. When we're seeing dark blue, that's even weaker. And we're seeing kind of radio shadow. So it looks like in general, you're up on a plateau right behind you. So if this is you in the purple, right behind you, there's probably a little bit of a drop off right here. And then you've got to go across whatever this probably river system is, wherever this highway is flowing through, in order to get to these other hotspots. So stuff we're seeing is that there's a little bit of high ground over here, but a lot of these hotspots are behind that high ground. So these are like a little ridge of hills right here is blocking a lot of the witnesses that you might have. Now we can run this is just kind of cool to see. And sometimes it can be helpful as we'll run another one and then Ryan will get to you, I think next. And yeah, let's say on this, I'm just trying to do the super chats to keep it down, but I don't want to punch people to spend a ton of money and then I don't get to you because I run out of time. I got about 15 minutes left. So yeah, do it. But man, if I don't get to you, I'm super sorry. I don't know. Shoot me an email. Like we'll figure it out. I'll help you as much as I can. I really appreciate the support you guys give. Okay. So this simulation is not an area sim. It's a point to multi-point, right? Just like it says the simulation type. And so what it should do is draw a bunch of lines from the hotspot to the other hotspots that it should see if it's within this RSSI range, which is -122 to -80, which in general is what a hotspot should have in order to have a valid witness. If we expand this range out, so you can see, ooh, this is kind of interesting. Let's take a look at this first. So let's go to 122 and see this, and we'll see, let's turn off a bunch of this crap. Okay, so our RSSI is -109, that's great, -102, that's great, -121, this one is right on the edge. So what we're gonna do is expand out the RSSI into, we'll just look at the ones that you're definitely not gonna get. So that'll be -122 out to -142, and we'll see how many of them are close to that -122 boundary. So if you think about it this way, every dBi increase in gain of your antenna, so it'll take you down 1 on this scale. So if you have a 2 dBi increase, you should get this from 123 down to 121. And then I don't see, I'm not sure what this one is. 123, this should help you pick up there. Yeah, so maybe, dude, it's good to get a slightly higher gain antenna. And maybe even think about getting higher than, what did you say, a 6 was what you're thinking about, or a 5? Yeah, look at a 6 or maybe a 9 and just test that out. That might be a case where a higher gain will make a difference. And I'm guessing that's just from the organic vegetation. Okay. Tommy White, shit, I didn't know I could do this. Yeah, you can do it. Let's see. Wow. Lee, what else am I missing, Lee? I'm just going to go with the text that my wife sent me because I'm having trouble keeping up on the chat. I'll get better at it. All right. We did Tommy White and then Raffo Mac, and then there was one more after that. Fierce Macaroon Snail. Okay, so you're getting yours, huh? I like it. Fierce Macaroon Snail. Sweet. Howard, while we're waiting for that to come up, Mario 𝗵𝗏𝗏, Howard 𝗵𝗏𝗏, yeah. How are rewards calculated when your transmit scale is lower than 1? So the rewards are calculated this way with transmit reward scale. Transmit reward scale is a way to scale your transmit reward. So when your hotspot beacons, if your transmit reward is 0.5, you're going to get half of the reward you would have gotten for that beacon, right? So remember, beaconing is 20% of your earnings, so you're going to get 10% of your earnings because you're in an overscaled area. The hotspot witnessing your transmit reward scale beacon will also get their reward scale because it's coming from a transmit reward scale. So they'll get half of what they were supposed to witness. It won't work the other way. If you transmit to a hotspot that is a scale of 1, it gets dinged by you, but you don't get dinged by it. So if you receive a signal from a hotspot that is scaled at 1, you're going to receive the full value of that signal. That's how that works. Okay, Fierce Macaroon Snail. Did I miss that? Yeah, we're just not in the right place. Oh, we're going to Dubai. Cool. Man, I saw some crazy stuff in Dubai. There's that aquarium that you walk by that's in the mall. It's probably right near where we are. All right, so let's take a look at this guy. And then the tall, what is it? The 𝗵𝗁𝗁𝐿𝐼 is right here. Okay, I got some happy memories of this place, mostly that it was hot and crazy and lots of concrete and glass. First thing to do, so we look at like how are we doing overall on reward scale. Looks like the reward scale right now is pretty good, right? Lots of 1s, lots of 0.99. So doesn't look like we're going to have a reward scale problem, but I bet you are going to have a reward scale problem coming up. Let's turn on the res 4s. So here's your problem is that Dubai is going to get filled out. This is going to get built in. We're just going to track you temporarily just so I don't miss it. I'll delete this thing later. Save hotspot. Dude, someone keeps putting in hotspots into my account. I think there's something that I did to screw that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to untrack all because I don't need those. And now we are going to track you, Snail, so I can watch what's going on here. Okay, so what's going to happen in general with that res 4 is that is going to fill in, and you're going to get a ton of hotspots that are in here, and they're going to affect your scale. So right now, if we look at this in very general terms, and Hotspotty is actually the better tool for doing this, but this is just a fast and dirty way, is we draw a region, and that region will tell us over here in a second how many hotspots are in here. So 581, you are coming up on, or you're actually over the 250 that you can have. So you are probably saved by this region up here, which probably also has in over 250. So that's allowing you to have 500 in there. So if I'm going too fast for you, go get the Helium Basic course. That's 99 bucks. It's on the Gristle King site. Look under, I think, the services tab, or look for Helium Basic course, Gristle King on YouTube, and it'll explain how all this stuff is calculated. But in general, what's going to happen pretty soon here, Snail, is that you are going to start to see lots and lots of hotspots be really scaled. Let me make sure you don't have a specific question. I think you just asked me to check it, and that was it. So scaling is good for right now. It won't be good in the next month or two. I bet you guys are just going to start going down and down further in scale. The next thing to look at is what it looks like at the kind of res 8 level, which is what all these things are right here. So these are the res 8. So there's a bunch of different resolutions, right? Common misunderstanding is that there's only one res hex size. There's hex sizes from 4 to 10 that we get assessed at. We'll turn off the scale, and we'll turn on the res 8s. I think I had them on. No, this is the one I want to track. Sweet. Okay, so there's a bunch in here. Looks like you're right on the edge right there. And if we just double check and see, yeah, you're within this res 8 right here, right? Remember, every resolution size has 7 child hexes, and you're in the area considered to be covered by the child hexes. So you're in this one right here. Looks like you're pretty good for now. You're probably going to start getting dinged by this res 7, which is going to be filled in pretty soon. This white one is going to be your problem. Let's see, what else do you want to show me? 8 antenna gain is 8, and it's 35 meters up. Cool. So you're up nice and high on one of the buildings there. Dubai is pretty darn flat, if I remember right. So if we come in here and turn off our reses, And look, there's no like giant hills around that are going to block anything. It's way out in the desert. Looks like there's some cool opportunities out there to get up on mountains, but in general, you know, around this area, it's super flat. I bet most of your problems are going to come from just the buildings around you, just because it's super built there, or built up. The next thing to check is the rewards, and we're seeing 0.14, 0.34. Cool. So are you the 0.341? If we look at your rewards, you're doing okay. Yeah, you're the 0.35. So you're doing, it looks like you're doing probably really well here. If we go over to Hotspotty, and Hotspotty can take, it's a really cool tool, but can take forever to load up. So we'll see if we can get it to start loading over in Dubai and then come back to it. What was the name of that thing again? What was the name of your hotspot? It was Fierce Macaroon Snail. Okay. Come on now. All right. Huh. Oh, probably because I spelled it wrong, huh? What is it? 2 R's in rune. There it is. And then we'll see if we can go there. And then we're going to do, I think Lee just told me to make sure I knock out the last one, and we'll wrap up with, actually we got Bitter Graphite Bull and Wonderful Rusty Mole. Okay, so I'll knock those two out. Let's see here. So you're not scaled yet. You're probably going to be scaled pretty soon. Yeah, you can see where you're getting scaled at a res level over on Hotspotty a little bit better than you can on HeliumVision. So overall, it looks pretty good here, dude. We could run a couple sims on here, but I don't think you're going to find anything with the sims just because the topography is not unusual. You're not going to find anything that's not going to be a total mystery. The only thing I might do is go from an 8 dBi down to a lower gain and maybe to a multi-polarized one here just because there's so many buildings around. But you're doing pretty well right now. I wouldn't worry about further actions. Okay, let's go on to, what's my next one here? Ryan Miller, Bitter Graphite Bull. Let's go check that out. Cool. And let me know if you guys like this kind of method of going through and doing hotspots for you, walking through them, if that's useful for you, or if you'd rather do something else. As we kind of set up the Gristle King community, which is happening, kind of the last parts of that are happening right now over on the Gristle King site. If you go there and use the, I think the, should be a pop-up that comes up and lets you put your email on the list. I'm going to keep kind of people posting on what's going to happen. So you're going to see when those websites go live, and you also get the invite to the community, which will be the paid piece, which means that you just get more attention from me, and you get to see, you know, kind of get to guide the conversation. Let's go to Fierce Graphite Bull, and then we'll knock it out. Oxnard. All right, cool. Was there? Let's see if I can find Fierce Graphite Bull. All right, 𝗵𝗃, I'm gonna get to you. Ryan Miller. So I'm not sure what you're aiming for, Ryan. As far as, God, you guys are super cool with these super chats. Thank you guys so much. It's like I feel bad because I can't get to everyone. I was hoping that would filter it out, but yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not that sorry. I'm sharing great information. Hopefully that's useful for you. So with this one right here, the first thing we look at, because we just had it on already, is that it's 0.16. So around you got a couple doing better, 0.32, 0.32 here. If we look at the larger area, there's a lot of hotspots around, but it's actually a pretty nice, I mean, I would guess it's a pretty nice scale so far. If we turn on the scale really quickly, I bet we're not getting overscaled yet. Nope, not yet. It'll come if we look at that res 4, like it's going to happen. Although you may be right on the line and, oh, you're on the wrong side of the line because you're down here. If you're on this side of the line, it's going to take forever to get scaled at res 4. But even here, there's not much down here. You're probably not going to get scaled at res 4. You may get scaled at res 5, which looks like it catches you a little bit. We'll do a quick simulation just to, you guys have seen this before now. So running these area sims, I forget, let's see, you're up at 1 meter. Dude, get the thing higher than 1 meter. Let's put this to 5 meters and just imagine that you're going to go for it, and then we'll run the sim and see what's shaking with this guy, and we'll turn off the reward scale just so we have less crap to look at. Okay. Yeah, you guys are crushing. I'm looking at the chat and looking at this, waiting for this guy to come up and spin around and give us what you want. Hopefully what you guys see with this is not just specific answers to your questions, but you see how I'm doing it so that you can do it for yourself. Or, like I said before, you can go learn how to do this on HeliumVision. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Let's go see past simulations. If we can just hit this simulation again. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. We'll get rid of this side. All right, so what have you got? Pretty flat area. Looks like around here. So there's a couple things to see. Whenever you see these really narrow lines, that's usually indicative of buildings. So if we zoom in here, we're probably going to see a building right here. My guess is because this is the airport, it's probably the tower. And maybe there's nothing there at all, but my guess is there's some kind of tower there that is blocking that just because it's such a distinct radio shadow. Maybe there's a little bit of a hill here. And you can see these other buildings are also causing these radio shadows, these light blue behind them. That's the problem there. So it might be that because you're so low, even at 5 meters, there's lots of buildings that are blocking you. When you see these square things, when it's this kind of size, sometimes that can just be a little bit of a hill or a ridge. So it looks like it's buildings again, right? So buildings are your problem. The really cool thing here in Oxnard is you're seeing all these mountains off in the distance, and these represent opportunities. So go find out who owns the land out there, and go talk to those people about getting up on top of those mountains, because that's going to be your money shot if you want to do the kind of best possible job. If you're not in that place where you can do the best possible job, and I totally get it, because it is a ton of effort to go and talk to people and convince them to put a LoRa gateway up on their land and, you know, all the rest of that crap. We'll track this so I don't lose track of it again. The second best thing you can do is just get this thing as high as possible. Once you get it higher, if we ran another sim on this thing, instead of at 5 meters, at 10 meters or 7 meters or whatever it is to get over those buildings, you're going to see a little bit of a different outcome. The other piece is thinking about, let's see, what do we have? Not the map style. The local rewards, like what's the highest local reward? 0.39, 0.42. You guys see anything bigger than that? Yeah, is that you're about half of the highest local reward. So if we look at this 0.32, I don't really care about their setup. They're at 5 meters. So if you can get yours up higher, that's probably the single best thing you can do. All right, last one. Lee, what was it? It was Ryan Miller just wants any input. Okay, I think you got any input. 𝗪𝗏, wonderful rusty mole. It was a Bobcat 8 dB, but had to put it indoor. All right, this is the last one we're doing, and I'm going to sign off, and then I'll look at all the chats I missed later, and I will see how I can make this even better for you guys. Wonderful rusty. Mole. Yep, chemical etiquette. Waddy Citron hair. It's an 8 dB Omni inside and plugged in, but still says needs attention. Always get them outside if you can. That's always going to be like standard. When we look at like what's best for helium hotspots in general, we look at our kind of best practices, is it looks like this: resources, consult resources, and I think this is somewhere. Basic rules for hotspots is get them wired, get them outside, get them up high. So these are just kind of your best practices. So hardline, open up your port, get the antenna outside, get it up high. So yeah, in general, that will always work the best. All right, wonderful rusty mole. I think this is where you are. Cool. Let's zoom out and see what is shaking there. And you had the 8 dBi question. So in general, just looking at this without doing any kind of crazy in-depth stuff. Where the heck are you? Oh, in Austin. Okay. Austin, Texas. All right. So we got a couple problems. Let's see what the local scale is. All right, you're getting dinged on scale. You're at 0.8, 0.91, some higher and lower scale stuff, but you're right on the edge. It's going to continue to go down. Local rewards are pretty low. Looks like 0.19. You're kind of within striking distance of everyone around you. But the big question was, what was it, 8 dB? Sorry, I'm forgetting this. Bobcat 8 dB, but had to put it indoor. Okay, so if it's indoor, just leave it on that 8 dB, put it up in the attic, get it as high as you can. That's going to be the best you can do. And when we think about deploying hotspots, there is the best possible, and then there's the best that you can do. And the only thing you can do is the best thing that you can do. So the best possible thing would be to build a 250-foot radio tower on your house and put up an antenna on the top of that and run LMR 900 up to the top. You know, like that's the best possible thing. Unlikely, kind of impossible or unreasonable to do. So you just do the best possible thing you can do, and an 8 dBi up in the attic is probably the best possible thing you can do right now. If you can get it outside, you can probably drop that down to something like a 6 or maybe even a 3 if you can get it nice and high, so it picks up all of those different off-angle reflections. But if it's going to be stuck inside and it's going to have to punch out through the attic, then stick with the 8. I think that wraps it. You guys you're finding this helpful. Ryan, you hooked up everything, but I have hardly any earrings. I think we hit that thing. Okay. I'm just reading through the chats here. Learning about HeliumVision. Yep. Yeah. I mean, dude, this HeliumVision course is, I put so much time into this thing. You can find it over here on services and then HeliumVision Masterclass. I can probably sign in because I'm signed in. Or I can sign in because I'm signed in. Way to talk, Nick. There's like all of these things are here. So we go through how to set up the menu, how to set up the call, like basic stuff, because a lot of times you'll get to it, and because it's so complicated, people get overwhelmed and they just look at one thing. There's a ton of different ways to run this. There's running what I call a 20-meter sim, which is unlike anything I've ever seen anyone else do. There's the scoring side in there. I don't know if I can sign into this or not. What does it say? Get started. Let's see if I can show you guys. Look at my dashboard. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff in there. So here's the 2 courses I've got right now. This is getting a revamp, the basic class. But on the HeliumVision side, there's a ton of videos for each one. So it just goes through like step by step. Here's how to set it up. Here's how to do it. Here's how to go through each piece. There's the 20-meter sim. Like that's what it helps you with. So yeah, super, super useful to do. And I built that so that I wouldn't have to do like hours of YouTube conversations. You could just watch it on at your own speed. Okay. Hex Lab. Oh, cool. Learning about the hexes. Right on. I think that wraps it. We're at 11 o'clock. I got to make sure I don't have anything crazy. Any luck with antennas in trees? Devontae Thompson. I've seen them work. I've seen some really funny deployments where a guy like shoved an antenna up a cypress tree and got it sticking out the top. I think there's a picture of it somewhere on the Gristle King site. Yeah, they work as long as you got clear line of sight. You know, if it's in the tree next to the trunk surrounded by branches, it's going to be really difficult to get that RF energy out. But for the rest of it, yeah, no, get the thing up high. Like the normal rules apply, and the normal rules are get your antenna up high, get a nice clear line of sight with lots of lines of sight to other antennas, and that's the deal. Okay, I'm going to sign off. I think I've got, actually pretty sure I got something else coming up. So thank you guys a ton for joining. Do the usual stuff, like, subscribe. There's like a million things you can do on YouTube. Just yeah, go do all of them. If you like this content, actually, no, I'm going to take another 5 minutes and spend some time. If you like this content, do the like and subscribe, smash all the various buttons. I'm getting requests from people on various channels, email, DMs, etc., asking me for help with them setting up other hotspot owners. And so I'm seeing there's going to be some there's competition in the market for what I'm doing, which is helping people with helium. But B, there is a real need for you to know what you're getting when someone gives you help. And so what I will probably do is put together a checklist of things you should ask someone who's helping you with helium deployments, right? So if you're asking someone like BFG Neil or Jamie Dubs, or 𝗵𝗵𝘁, like any of the pipe hitter OGs who've been around for a long time, you can take their answers to the bank. They're super good. I don't think Jamie Dubs does paid stuff, but I know Neil does. So you can do my helium consulting. You can do other helium consulting with him, with kind of the blue chip names. But man, if you're talking to folks who don't understand different res sizes and what they do and how the scaling works and how HIP 17 works and how HIP 15 works, it's kind of blind leading the blind. And so just be careful when someone's like, hey, let me help you with your hotspot. Just do your level best to make sure you do your due diligence. And I'll try and make a checklist that helps you guys with that. Okay. I think that wraps it up. Slingshot fishing wire and Douglas firs, the webhead. Yeah, I think that's how I've seen antennas put up in trees. Okay, that should wrap it. Thanks a ton. Yeah, join up with the Gristle King community. Good to do that. All you got to do is go to gristleking.com and wait for the pop-up to click up. Once you're on that list, you're going to get the announcement, which is coming out probably early next week, about how that what that's going to look like. And then course prices are all going up probably end of this week, early next week. They're going to go up from 99 to something higher, probably not considerably higher, but you can probably save yourself at least $50. So get the courses now while they're still pretty cheap. All right, rock on, guys. I will see you guys later. Thanks so much for joining up. Catch you next time. Lates.